Back again with you another video, guys. In this video I'm going to show you how to code for a program which would give us all the prime factors in a given number. For example, the user has given us the input 18, then the prime factors of this number are 2, 3, 3. So when we multiply each one together, what we're gonna end up getting is the number itself, that is 18. So what we want our program to do is ask the input from the user, and once we have gotten input from the user, we need to define a list that's going to keep track of all the prime numbers up to the number n. N happens to be the input from the user, so up to n. So we have to make a list of all the prime numbers up to n. So once we have done that, we need to define another list, empty list t, where we are going to define a function where it's going to keep track of all the prime factors which are divisible, that is when the remainder comes out to be 0. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. First off, we want our program to keep on running until our user wants it to stop. So for that to happen, we need to iterate as many times as the user wants. So we need to define the predetermined value. Let's call this a variable answer, and let's give it answer equal to y. And so there are lots of while loop and for loop in this particular program, so you have to get used to all these loops because they come in handy a lot. So while doing all this, you will be able to understand them better. So while answer answer dot upper, right, answer dot upper equal to capital Y, that is this, and we have to keep on asking, right? So we need to define this answer is going to take the input from the user, right? This is our input from the user, that is want to input more question mark, then our answer slash capital Y, and done. And in this loop we need to define our program, right? So long as the answer happens to be y, it's going to keep on executing this, and this is all what it says up to this. Okay, and now what we have to do is going to ask for input from the user. So input the number, right? That's okay. Now I'm going to define empty list t. It's going to keep track of all the prime factors of that particular number, and there is another empty list called p. Is going to keep track of all the prime numbers up to this, okay, up to the number itself. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to define variable function called let's call it prime, okay, for the list p, okay, which we have defined earlier. Now prime, let's call this function name prime. Let's pass argument 1 x, call it x, and now this thing we have done it before, and I'm going to do it because this is all the prime numbers, and this is what we have been doing for the past couple of videos, right? So for I in range I x plus 1, okay, x plus 1, count set it equal to 0. You guys must be familiar with this because if you guys have been following my videos, you guys ought to know. You guys know this. I don't need to explain it. Okay, this is now this one, and this is just all the prime numbers in short. So if I iteration is divisible by j, right? So divisible by j when the remainder comes out to be 0. Okay, then I'm gonna increment my count as follows: 1. And if if my count happens to be exactly equal to 2, then I'm gonna append this prime number I. I is the prime number, right? Because it is exactly divisible by 2, so that's why I'm going to append into my empty list p, and this is done. The next function is going to be factors, right? It's going to keep track of all the factors, prime factors that can divide the number, okay? Now so that is when the remainder comes out to be 0. So we're going to use the while loop because we want our number f, okay? This is just the argument f. So first, so while the number is, so it's going to keep on iterating, keep on executing unless we reach our goal. That goal happens to be 1, okay? So that is 1. So at the end of the day, when we divide the number 18, it's gonna keep on dividing, okay? For example, it's going to divide it by 2, you're gonna end up with 9, then 3, then we are going to end up with 3, then 3 by 1. So it's gonna give us the end result 1, okay? It's gonna keep on executing. All we know is the end result 1, so it's gonna keep on executing until it reaches to 1. And now I'm going to use this empty list p, because it's going to iterate for every element in list p, which we have defined using the function called prime. And now we have to define another if condition. If when f is divisible by I, that is when remainder comes out to be 0, that is equal to 0, then what we're going to do is going to append, okay, t dot append I, okay? That is our prime factor I, which is divisible, that is f is divisible by, right? And now I'm going to modify my number as follows: equal to I. So for example, if my number happens to be 8, then it's going to divide it by 2, right? Because 2, 2, 3, 5 and 7 are the prime numbers, and now we're going to divide it by 2. So 8 is divided by 2, then we're going to append 2 out in front, out of the in the list t, and going to modify it as follows. Then we're going to end up with 4, and after 4 we see that it is again divisible by 2, okay? So we don't want it to repeat, right, for every element, even if it's divisible again by I. So for that condition, what I need to do is I need to define another while loop, because as long as it keeps on divisible by the iteration I, then I'm going to divide it by I and I'm gonna append it into my list t, because it is dividing it by I. So I'm not going to iterate, because it's going to make my program a little slower. So that's for that solution, what I need to do is going to define a while loop. It is when f is divisible by I equal to 0, 0, then t dot append I, and going to modify my number equal to I. And once we have done that, well, let me give you an appropriate example. For example, if we have number 12. Now 12, okay, 8. So 8 prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so first 8 is divisible by 2. Then we're gonna end up with 2. 2 is a factor, right? So 2 is a factor, prime factor, and 3, 3 not, okay, 2, 2, 2. So again it is divisible by 2. Then we are going to do divided by 2, because in the iteration I itself is going to divide it by 2 3 times, right? And now once we had done defining the functions, all we need to do at the end of defining function is call them. So we need to call each function after we have defined, because if we have defined the function and we are calling them, before defining, like at the top, if we were to define a function here and call them here, then it's going to throw an error. So what we need to do is need to call these functions after we have defined, like at the end. Okay, so now prime, let's pass this value e, input e. Okay, that's what we want. And factors, okay, f is not in capital, factor e. And the only thing that we need to do is print. We need to print something, okay, so that we can get an output, and that's what we are here after. And we have to print t, okay, the list t. And let's just see if this is going to work, and hopefully it executes itself. And now let me rerun it. Okay, so okay, let me use this number 18. Okay, so 233. Okay, exactly. If I want to continue my program, then I'm gonna hit y, either in capital or lower, doesn't matter, as long as you are writing y. Okay, y is the single letter, no space or anything at all. So I'm going to do 100. Okay, that is 2255. When we multiply each one together, what we're gonna end up getting is the 100 itself. And these are all prime factors. Okay, now I want to continue. Okay, now what I want is, let's just see, 450. Okay, 23355, exactly right. Now one more to go. Let's just see, 1234. This is a big one. Okay, it's gonna take some time, I guess. 2617. Okay, remember 617 is prime number. Okay, so it's giving us the prime factors. Okay, I hope you guys like this video, and if you understood anything, and if you have doubt, there you guys can comment down if you have any doubt, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content like this. If you think this is awesome, don't hesitate, to like this video. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.